everybody, it's Aaliyah L. After watching a YouTube video of someone sharing their experience about what happened with their death of a family member, I've inspired myself to share the story of my mom passing away. I was in middle school. I'm sorry. It's just taking me. I just don't like to basically talk about her. But basically gonna have to. I was 13 turning 14 or 14 turning 15. It was the year of 2018. It just turned 2000. We just went into the new year from 2017. I was 13 days away from turning 15. Yes, 15. And me and my mom, we were like this. We were like best friends, and me and my mom, we would talk like a lot. My mom would always give me advice, telling me, don't let no man do nothing to you, nothing that you don't settle, don't, just giving me good advice for later on. Growing up, my mom was the biggest role model for me, because I look up to her, because my mom, she's always told me, like, reach for the skies. Like, go, if you don't think you can just keep striving, keep being strong. I don't usually tell this story a lot because at the end of the day, it's 2 years going on to 3, 2.5 years going on to 3, and I'm basically still grieving. Because once you lose one parent in this world, your whole entire world, your perspective, and everything in your life, and your perspective on life is gonna change forever. I've been through grief a lot. With my mom, my grandmother, my aunt, and recently in this year, I lost my grandfather to stomach cancer. That was the most painful grief I had to get over, was the one that happened recently with my grandfather and the one that happened with my mom. Because my mom, she was my rock. She was everything. She's the person that always told me, or basically helped me, like, have a big heart towards people. Like, if someone is getting bullied by someone, I would always, like, help them or stand up for them when they can't stand up for themselves. That's why there's pros and cons to me of having a big heart. Like, the con is, like, you can get taken advantage of, and the pro is that you later on will get rewarded for having a big heart. I am a last child of, hold on, let's see, I have 3 sisters and 1 brother, so I'm the last child from my mom's side of the family, because the order from my mom's side of the family was my sister, my brother, then me. And I have 2 other siblings, but that's from my dad's side. My mom, she was the glue that stuck me and my brother and my sister together. Because my mom was always the one to, my mom was always the one to, during Thanksgiving and family dinners, to cook, like enormous amounts of food for people to have leftovers so they can eat it when like for the next day, or if they're hungry again for the next night or whatever. My mom was always the type of one to entertain, and I love her for that because she gave me some good memories in my life. My mom in seventh and when I was in seventh grade or sixth and seventh grade, I learned that my mom, when I was, it was either when I was finishing elementary school or starting middle school or in the middle of middle school, I learned that my mom, she got diagnosed with I forgot the word, I'm sorry. My mom got diagnosed with a sickness, but it wasn't colon cancer. They didn't diagnose her with colon cancer at the time. After doing some later tests, they discovered, yes, it is colon cancer. And then I learned from my mom that she told me like, oh, that she has colon cancer. And I was looking at my mom and I was like, really? Like my whole world just went blank. My mind, my eyes, I was just like, all I could think about was my mother, like, dying. Like, I didn't care about school. All I cared was about my mom and what's gonna happen. Because she was everything to me. She was my biggest role model. She was my best friend. She was my mother. She was everything to me. Then, then I, sorry. And then she told me that the doctors diagnosed her. She was gonna start dialysis and do chemo. She did dialysis and she did chemo. The doctors put her in remission and told her that, like, the doctors told her, like, she is good. Like, the cancer is cured. She did dialysis. She had 2 to 3 surgeries on her stomach. There was times where we had to go to the hospital to take her because she was in so much pain that she couldn't even bear it. My mom was like, my mom was very strong. That's where I got my strength from. It was really hard, like, always, because hospitals, like, made me sad, and it made me cry, and it made me look at it like, yo, like, my mom may or may not die today in that hospital. But my mom was like always looking at me and telling me, my mom always told me, do not cry. Always stay strong. Do not cry. And my mom made me so happy. She gave me fashion advice. She always took me shopping whenever there was like a school trip or there was an important event. If there was like family dinner, she would always dress me up in dress and shorts and sneakers. Just dress me up as a kid. And I loved her for that because now I have fashion advice for when I go to interviews or go to parties or go to wherever. And I will always be grateful for her for that. After the surgeries and the dialysis and the remission and the chemo, my mom, she was recovering and in recovery. she was recovering from that, and then she was feeling better, but she was feeling better, but then there were times where she did go back to the hospital because she didn't feel well or something was going on. So after that, things started to take. She was cured for that year. And then later on, the next year or so after, the doctor, she was going back, like, in and out of the hospital. Like, the doctors were, like, trying to figure out, like, they said that you recovered from cancer. You were in remission, and you did everything. So, what is the problem? They, later on, they said the cancer came back. But this time, it was coming harder than it was before. And then I was looking at my mom like, but we just went through all that. We went through the chemo, the dialysis. We went through remission and your surgeries and everything. That made me look at my mom and say, like, please. Seriously made me look up to God and say, like, please do not take my role model, my mother, my rock for me, please. That's the one thing that I wanted. I didn't want her to go away from me because I still had stuff to do. I still had to go to high school. I still had to go to prom. I still had to go to homecoming. I still have to have her grandkids. I still have to get married and everything else. But she went through chemo again and dialysis and everything. Later, the doctors did some tests after the chemos, and they were like, I'm sorry, but it's just not working. So that was a little bit bad for me because I was the one who would always go to chemo with my mom after school. So I would look at her and when she told me, when I heard from the doctor that the tests weren't working, I was like, okay. I was still trying to stay strong and, like, hold up the glue for her because I'm her last daughter and I'm her princess. So basically try to hold myself up together. One day, she was in so much pain. She was, like, saying, ouch, ouch, ouch. I was basically my mother's nurse. I always give her medication, always put on her patches, always did everything for her because that's the person that I am. Me having the big heart. After me looking at my mom and her seeing in so much pain, like, I couldn't bear it. I was like, God, please pass on that pain from my mother to me because I don't want to see her go through this pain. Like, please. She was still in so much pain that she was telling them my dad came home from work and then he was, like, telling her, Patrick, please take me to the hospital. Like, please, like, I'm in so much pain. Like, this is so much. I can't deal with this. Like, please just take me to the hospital. My father took her to the hospital. I couldn't be there because, waiting rooms and emergency rooms, and it's kind of hectic for a child like me. So I stayed home. And then my dad came. I stayed home with an adult, and my dad came back and was, like, telling me, your mom, she's okay. She's admitted, and then he came back, and then I went back to go see her. And then I was like, Mom, what is happening? She was like, it's fine. We just had to wait for the doctor to come back and just give us the results and see what's happening. One of the days while my mom was in hospital, my mom would be in the hospital for weeks. Like, for a week or more at a time. After me seeing one of the days, my mom had basically my whole entire family there from my mom's side of the family. There was my brother, his girlfriend at the time, my niece, me, her grandkids, my sister, my dad, my aunt, and other family members there. I literally thought that my mom was gonna pass away, like, right there, because my mom was, like, in and out. She's basically, like, it seemed like she was taking her last breaths, and I was like, please don't do this to me. Please, God, please, no. I can't bear this. So then she was telling everybody what she wanted to do, or basically just giving basically like a speech. She's basically telling everybody, like, please take care of me. Please make sure that I grow up and be the best that I can be. And take care of me. And just do the most, just telling my dad her the stuff that she needed to tell my dad and tell everybody. I was the one who was crying. I was crying, and I was like trying to not make my mom see that, because her being in the hospital on cords. My mom also had a surgery where she had a port, like electrical port inside of her, so she could get the medications from the chemos, and the hospital, they put a port in her. And my mother also died with the port, I think, with inside of her, or they must have done a surgery to take it out. So I was crying, and I was in a corner, and I was turned away from her because I didn't want her to see that I was crying. My dad, she calls me, she's like, where's Aaliyah? She's like, they were saying that I was right there, because I was basically right next to her, but I was just turned away. She was calling me, she was like, Aaliyah. I was like, yes, mommy. She's like, come here, sweetie. I was like, yes, mommy. She was like, stop crying. I was like, mommy, I can't. She was like telling me, Aaliyah, please stop the crying. She's telling me like how God has a plan for every one of us, and there's nothing we can do about that but just wait until the right and appropriate time for it. So I was waiting. I stopped crying. Everyone in the room was crying when my mom was saying all that stuff. Even before and after she had the speech. Like, after she had the speech, I stopped crying after she gave me the pep talk. Then I started to go outside of the room, because it was just, everybody was in there, and it was cramped, and it was confined, and I couldn't do it, and it was looking depressing. So I was like, no, I need to snap out of it. I need something to make me more happy and not make me sad. So I saw my cousin. He was crying in the hallway as well. I was like looking at him like, because everyone was like in and out of the room, so people were coming out, coming in. So after she was giving the talk, everybody was basically out in the hallway. Everyone was basically looking and was like crying, and then I think I gave a pep talk to my cousin or one of my family members. No, it was my niece, because my niece was crying because that was my brother's like first child, and she would always spend a lot of time with her grandmother, like when she was going through chemo and everything. She would always come over and spend time with the grandmother and spend time with my dad and me and everything. There would be at times where she was a little bit annoying, but most of the time I would always enjoy having time with her, because me being a big auntie, I just like spending time with my sister and my brother's kids. So, it just, she was crying, and then she was saying like, I was asking like, why are you crying? She's like, because grandma, like, I had to see her like that. She's like, grandma wouldn't want you crying. It's like, grandma told me to stop the crying, so come on, give me a hug right now, come on. And basically me being big auntie, me being strong for her, because I want my nieces and nephews to look up to me and be like, that's my auntie. That's my big and strong auntie. Like, and I was like, okay. I was like telling her to come give me a hug and come on, like, let's stop crying and everything. Because my mom wouldn't want that. She wouldn't. She doesn't like people crying around her, especially during that time. And then after that, then everyone started leaving, and then she was she was still in the hospital, but then she got discharged. But the doctors were saying it could basically happen at any time or any place or anywhere. And we were just like, okay, so they put her on hospice. Hospice is where you have a nurse, a night nurse or morning nurse, or basically all day nurse, come to your house for the patient and give the patient whatever it needs, like the medication and basically taking care of the patient. So my mom basically had like a hospital bed delivered to the house and had a hospice nurse coming in and out of the house, and she had a rocking chair just so she could sit into it, because my mom was always the type to sit and watch TV if she doesn't have anything else to do. So she sat in the chair. Most of the time she would watch TV. She would watch basic stuff like soap operas or something that would, my mom was the type to always watch HGTV, so House Hunters, like House Hunters International, House Hunters in general, or the Property Brothers or anything on HGTV, she would always just watch. So there was family coming in and out of the house during the time that she was on hospice. We had family, we had doctors and coming in and out of the house, but there was some stuff that conspired or transpired, but I'm not gonna get into that. It was the one day one of the doctors that from the hospice company from Vitas came to the house and was giving her like a checkup with his stethoscope and his medical tools. Was feeling on her leg with something, I think, like, I don't know what it was, but he was like poking her with the leg and basically saying, like, asking her like these questions. Then he basically said to my sister, or then to me, And then basically was saying, like, any minute now, like, any minute she could pass away. It was January 14th, 2017 or 18. It was the early hours in the morning, like early hours, like morning time, like 12, 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Then I was with my cousins because I just didn't want to be in the room because it was just a lot was happening. And after I heard the doctor say any minute now, I didn't want to witness my mom like pass away right in front of my eyes. Like, there would be times sometimes where there was one night where I slept in my mom's, like, the bed that she had, like the bed that she and my dad would sleep in. I slept in the bed right next to her as she slept in the hospital bed, or that they gave her to sit and do and sleep in anything. So yeah. During everything that was transpiring from my mom closely passing away, and before, me being um me being the young child that she had, and me always being around her, I was always one to help her with her medication, her patches, like I said. And my mom was always she, from her having the colon cancer and her having surgery on her stomach, she would always like carry like bags, like poop and pee bags, like in her hand, like with her when she would go to the store and stuff. And she would always wear scarves and long stuff because she didn't want people to know and ask her questions. So I was always the one who was helping her with the lining of her bag to make sure it wasn't getting caught with anything, or making sure that I was also the one who was always like helping her, like holding her right around the store and like stuff like that. So nothing would happen. So people would ask questions. So like I said, it was January 14th. Yeah, January 14th, 2018. And my mom was in the hospital bed in the room with my sister and other family members. I was with my cousin in my room, just talking and just basically trying to help pass time so I don't like be in the room, because since the doctor said any minute. Next thing you know, I hear my name being called. I said yes. I was like saying like yes, like to the person who's calling me. She's saying like, come and look at mom. My mom was in and out at the time I went to go see her. My mom was saying, because I was crying, she was like telling me stop crying. My mom was like, take it. She's like in and out. So she was telling me to like take care of myself and that she loves me. She basically, they were basically telling me to say a few words. I couldn't say anything because I thought everything was coming out. I was just trying to stay there in the moment. I'm sorry, I have bad allergies and stuff like that, so I'm sorry if that doesn't. My mom was in and out. Then I, then she basically passed away in front of me, in front of my eyes. My mom, she passed away right in front of my eyes. I was basically like my knees, because I went to go see her and I was right in front of her. I was on my knees and then she was telling me to get off my knees because I didn't want to hurt it, because the wood, because they had hardwood floors in the room, and like when you once you put like you put your kneel on the hardwood floors, like there's marks and it could hurt your knees. So there was like a footrester where they put for the rocking chair, and I sat on that. Then right, my mom was right in front of me. Then she was saying what she said. She was saying that she loves me. And I was like, I love you too. Then my mom basically took her last breath right in front of me. Then I dropped to the ground. My sister came right behind me because my brother wasn't there that night, because I think he must have been working, or he must have been out with people. I don't know. Or I don't remember. My sister came right beside me. She was holding me. She was like, I was basically like saying, Mom, Mom, please. I was basically saying, Mom, please. Please stay with me. No, please. My sister came right beside me. She was like, Mom, Mommy, Mom, please wake up, please. I was like, oh no. I don't really, I don't really remember, because the memory is really fuzzy to me. I don't really think I said anything to her, because nothing was flowing out. Sister's basically telling me to take care of myself. She loves me. I said I love you too, but I could, before that, I couldn't say anything, because you don't want life to happen right and flash right in front of your eyes. After that, I was like, oh my god. I started blaming myself, because I was like, Mom, I was like, I couldn't say anything. I was like, I didn't get to say goodbye. I couldn't say anything. I was like, oh my god. And then my sister, she got up, she stormed out, I think she punched my dad's closet door in half, because my dad's closet door was right here, my mom's closet door was over here, so they were right across from each other, and they're both like walk-in closets. So this door literally like snapped into half. I guess she must have punched it, or she must have kicked it, or did something, because the door was the part of the door where you used to like, where the handle to close it, it was like broken off. Like the wood just poof. Then my sister walked outside. One of my aunts or family members like telling her like, you don't go, like you're in grief, like don't go. And to basically be here for me. My sister drove off. We didn't know where she was going. So we called the cops and we were like, my sister's out there and we don't know where she is. Like, and my mom just died. Like, can you please help us? Cops showed up and was like, do you know where she went? We was like, no. Turns out my sister was parked somewhere in front of the Coral Square Mall. Because my mom's favorite place to go was always Macy's, and to go to Coral Square Mall to shop. So she just went there for the nostalgia. While my sister was gone, I was telling my dad, I was like, Dad, she's gone. My dad held me and I was like, Dad, she's She's gone and she's not coming back. It's like I didn't get to turn 15. It's basically telling myself like I didn't get to turn I didn't get to turn 15 with her. To make it basically be like my last birthday. My last birthday with her was when I turned 14. And the last holiday that I basically had with her was New Year's. That was the last holiday. My mom died in the early hours of the morning on January 14, 2017 or 2018. And she was born on February 14, 1996. So yes, she was born on the 14th and she died on the 14th. My mom was my rock. My mom was my world. My mom was basically my everything. My mom is the world to me. It always will be. She always will be the world and always be my world. I'm gonna show you guys a picture of my mom because I just previously got a picture of me and my mom. This is my mother and I at my fifth grade graduation. I was graduating 5th grade, going on to 6th, so I will show you guys and I will share it. So yeah, that's my beautiful mother, which I get my looks basically from. So yeah, um, my mom is the world to me. She always will be. She's my rock. She's my best friend. She's my mother. She's the person who gave birth to me. My birth giver. Basically my therapist. The person I would talk to. My mom always was there for me. She always told me if there's anything I need, she's here. I also went to therapy when my mom was in remission and dealing with the cancer, because for me to be dealing with that on top of school and everything, it was a lot. So I went to go see a therapist, and I'm glad that my mom made me go see a therapist during that time, because I'm the type of person to keep everything confide in me, like my feelings, like how I'm feeling about a person, like if it's a boy involved, if anything, like I'm the one who usually keeps stuff confined, because I've learned that I'm too trusting, and I trust people with the most delicate things that it can hurt me. So yeah, and like I recently said, I lost my aunt to gun violence, and I lost my aunt in January of 2019, because it was a year after my mom had died. So I think it was a couple days before or after my mom's day, like remembrance day, like of when she died. It was a lot to be dealing with, because it was the 1 year my mom like passing away, and I was still grieving still. It was a lot. Um, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you guys about the funeral. The funeral, it was amazing. I was seeing some Bible verses, and there's family and friends showing up to the funeral. I was trying to stay strong for that day and everything. Best believe. But there were times where I would just look at her coffin and I'll be like, "You're truly gone. Like, you're not coming back." It's not like she's gonna, like, just close her eyes and be like, "Boo." She was just gonna pass away. So, funeral was beautiful. I wrote a letter to her, which I forgot what it was. I put it in her coffin before she when during the funeral. Then we went then we went to go put her in the ground. That's when my sister and I and everyone, basically everyone, was not realizing. She was like, "Dang, like my mom's name was Carol." So they were saying, like, "Carol's gone. She's not coming back." Like, wow. It was truly a lot. It was. And then after my mom died, I had to deal with my aunt. Because I was at home and my dad just came off of work. My dad calls me and I had a phone. Like, I had like a cell phone. Like, my dad had gave me like my first phone, like an iPhone 5S. And I was living with my sister and my dad. So I was looking at it. I was seeing my family members like posting saying like R.I.P, like Auntie Chinchin. My aunt name is Caroline, but Chinchin is her nickname. So my dad came in, sat down at the kitchen table. He looked like he was crying. I was like, "Dad, is this true?" Like, they're saying, like, he called me. I don't think I saw the stories. I don't remember the website stories. Then my dad pulls me to the side in the kitchen and was like telling me, like, "Aaliyah, I'm sorry, but your auntie Chinchin, she's dead." I was like, I dropped to the ground, like, immediately. My sister, she started crying as well because my sister and my aunt, they were close. They were close. So I dropped to the ground. I'm like, "Oh my God." And I was basically telling my dad, like, "Why? Like, who would do this? Like, who?" My aunt was the most nice, funny, and generous person. She would always call on me or my dad's birthday or my mom's birthday and always wish us happy birthday. Always. I later found out that my aunt, she got shot in the head. Like, it was literally a headshot. She had shot in the heart and in the chest, in the head and in the chest. I was looking at it. I was like, who in their right mind would do this? This is my aunt. Like, who? It was apparently that my aunt must have got caught up in something to make that happen. So that happened. Then recently, this year, I lost my grandfather. Now that was big. My grandfather's my dad's father. I lost my grandmother as well, but I saw my grandmother when I was like an infant. but I don't really remember the memories that much. So it's really fuzzy, but I do remember some of them. Um, my grandfather, he was having some stomach problems. So he was in and out of the hospital. He was like having stomach problems. And my dad would always tell me, I would always be on the phone with grandma saying like, "Hi grandpa, like how are you?" He was always telling me like he's fine, telling me to behave myself and like telling me that he's loved me and whatever and everything. That was hard because my grandfather, he's like the pillar of my dad's side of the family, like the pillar, the founder and everything. My grandfather had 6 kids, 5 to 6 kids, and it was a lot to be dealing with. Because I was at a swim meet, I finished a meet, and I was looking through WhatsApp status, and it was practice, or no, it was practice. Then I was looking at my phone because I turned my phone off to save battery power. Then I was seeing people say R.I.P. Papa, because Papa is his nickname. I was looking at it like, please tell me this is not true. I immediately called my father. I was calling my father, calling my father, calling my father. Then I was calling other family members, but none of them was picking up. Then my dad called me back, and I was trying to figure out like the ride situation to get back home. My dad called me. He was like telling me. I was like saying, "Dad, is this true?" Telling me, "Yes, your grandfather, he passed away in the hospital." I was like, I immediately was like, no, 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 no. I was like, please, please tell me this is a dream, please. It wasn't a dream. My grandfather, he died at 90, died in his 90s. I love my grandfather, I love my aunt, I love my mom. They're all in heaven, looking down at me. And God had a plan for them. They lived their lives, probably to a full extent, but they lived their lives. They had lives. And for my aunt, it was unfortunate that her life had to be taken away so early, but she lived her life just like my dad and my grandfather did. I went to go bury my grandfather. I was crying because my grandfather, he's the pillar, he's the foundation, and everything. It was big, and everything. It was good that I got to spend time with my family. It was good. But my message is this to everyone. If you're watching this, hold on to your family. Hold on to your parents, especially after this time of Corona. Hold on to your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, your nieces, nephews, whoever you have. Hold on to them, because you never know. God could take them away, and you can never say what you need to say or have the time to say what you need to say to them. So hold on and cherish every moment, because you never know what's going to happen. I hope this message gets out to everyone. I'm glad that I was able to tell my story, because I feel relieved that I was able to tell my story and I got through telling these stories to all of you. So, hold on to your families. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. Say you love them, even if you're mad at them. Tell them you will never stop loving them. Give them hugs, give them kisses. Just caress them whenever you can. Tell your grandfather, grandmother, aunts, nieces, uncles, mother, father, who else? Tell them that you love them. Don't hold on to stupid stuff. Don't drive wedges in between you and them, because you never know what could happen. So this is Aaliyah Lindsay and Aaliyah L, and I'm signing off. Bye.